Pulitzer Prize-winning author Herman Wouk once wrote, "Within the rectilinear boundaries of 114th Street and 120th Street, of Broadway and Morningside Drive, there is a peaceful oasis of the life of the mind, defiantly independent of the surrounding marketplace racket of Manhattan. The best things of the moment were outside the rectangle of Columbia. The best things of all human history and thought were inside." If only you had the sense, you could spend 4 years in an unforgettably exciting and improving alternation between two realms of magic. That doubled magic is lasting me a lifetime. All my writings, such as they are, trace back in one sense or another to my 4 years at Columbia.
Don't Give Up Show with Jacquie Wayans. Inspiration through word and song for you.
Hello, my name is Luis Paredes, and I'm in the 6th grade at Eagle Harlem. In Eagle, I have over 1,700 brothers located in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, and even Newark, New Jersey. But Eagle isn't just about getting good grades. It's about brotherhood, community, and the belief that anything is possible. For example, as Langston Hughes says, dreams deferred, never. And if you don't believe me, do what I do. Listen to my mom.
Eagle Academy es lo mejor que a mí y a él le ha pasado. Ha cambiado totalmente hacia él como estudiante y como persona. Más respetuoso en la casa, con los demás, hasta con sus hermanitos más pequeños. Llega a la casa y no se pone a ver televisión, se pone a estudiar. Él mismo tiene mucha expectativa. Él me dice, mami, yo me quiero quedar en esa escuela nos da mucha oportunidad.
We get a lot of testimonies from parents about the maturity they see in their student. You know, even in the middle school, the fact that we're a uniform school, students taking pride in professional attire. In many instances, you know, this is a new experience for a lot of our students.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Don't Give Up and Win. The show is designed for people who are reaching their goals, reaching their dreams. But life has real challenges and real difficulties along the way. Well, this show is designed to encourage you and to help you hear the stories of other individuals who have had challenges as well. But because they did not give up, they are here today to share with you what God has done in their lives. And today we have an awesome guest, David C. Banks, who is the author of the book Soar. He is CEO and founder of the Eagle Academy Foundation, which supports 5 New York City schools, 1 in each borough and 1 in Newark, all boy public schools. And that is a work within itself. And so we have the joy and the privilege to hear his story today. David Banks, good friend. Thank you for being
absolutely.
Here today.
Thank you,
It's a
Jacquie.
pleasure.
Pleasure's
It's a
all
pleasure.
mine.
So in case the world does not know you, I
Yes.
just wanted to make sure we had you on and to hear your story, because many people may have seen you from the DNC, they may have seen you from television commercials, but they don't know the story. They don't know how you got there, how you started along the way. So I wanted you to be able to come in and share your beginnings with us.
Well, sure. Certainly, I appreciate being here and wish you so much luck with your show.
Thank you.
I'm a product of New York City. My mom and dad, born and raised right here in New York, raised 3 sons. I'm the oldest of 3 boys. And having gone through a school system, which was actually a really good experience for me. But I think the greatest blessing that I had was that I had a very strong father figure at home and a wonderful, loving, nurturing, and still tough mother who had to be tough, right, to raise 3 boys. My mother was the only girl in the house. And they gave us together, they gave us all that we needed. So I was always very, very blessed by that. Graduated from public schools and went off to New Jersey to college at Rutgers University. And then, you know, had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I'd always thought that I was going to be a lawyer.
Right.
My whole life I'd said I was going to be a lawyer. And then as I came out of college, my first challenge presented itself to me, which was that my wife and I had our first son right as I was graduating from school. And I needed to figure some things out. And I decided that I was going to, instead of going straight to law school, I would get a job. And I actually started out, a lot of people don't know this, but I actually started as a school safety officer.
Okay, so I have to pause you for a moment there because, you know, when we don't know, we don't know. And so the reality is that we see David Banks today as where he is. But what you're saying to me is that as you're approaching the college mark, right, and trying to figure out your life and your future, here you are a father, right? And that wasn't a part of the plan, right?
No, not at all.
So now you have to regroup and figure out what's next.
Yes.
So you're saying you started out as a security officer?
Absolutely.
Where were you?
I was at Clara Barton High School in Brooklyn, and breaking up fights in the lunchroom, and you know, dealing with all the disciplinary issues that were going on in schools. Never thinking that was something I was going to be doing, but I did that for a year before I ultimately moved on to become a teacher.
You told me a wonderful story about you being on vacation in the Dominican Republic with your family.
Right.
And you sat down before God and you just said a simple prayer and you started to get some guidance for your future. Talk to us about that moment.
You know what, that was several years later. I had been a teacher for several years. I had then left to go work in the law. I worked for the New York City Law Department in the Attorney General's office. And so it was time for me to leave the Attorney General's office, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do. Did I want to continue my career in law? And I went away for a few days with my father and my brothers, and I just prayed daily. And I heard God's voice who said to me, you know, there are a number of things that I could have you do. But where I want to see you and the impact I want you to make is in education.
Awesome.
And it was from there that I decided to go back to school to work toward another master's degree in educational leadership, which some people thought I was crazy. They said, you went to law school for all of those years at night, and now you're going back to school. But, you know, when you are a person of faith and you truly believe that and allow God to guide your steps, that's what I did. And so he guided me and said that that's the space that I should be in, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
Awesome, awesome. And I know a special part of this story was how you were able to get your credits to become a principal. That was a challenge. Can you talk to us about what the dilemma was? Because you had a timeline you were trying to achieve. So talk to us about that.
You know, I left the Attorney General's office. It was January, and I wanted to be in a school as an assistant principal in June, which basically meant I had 1 semester and to get a master's degree, essentially. But I called the state, and I realized that the master's degree was 30 credits. But the state said that we'll certify you if you get 24 credits. So my mission was clear. How can I get 24 credits in 1 semester? And I went to several different colleges and spoke to them, and everybody would tell me I was crazy. There's no way you're going to get 24 credits in 1 semester. So I wound up actually going to several different colleges, and Brooklyn College said, we'll offer you 15 credits. That was more than anybody else. And I went home and I was despondent because I said, I still need 9 more credits. I'm going to have to do another semester of school in order to get there. And I went to bed that night, and again, God's voice woke me up in the middle of the night. And it said, who said you had to get all 24 credits from the same school.
I love it.
Think about that. Where does that come from other than God?
Yes, absolutely.
And so I wound up going to Brooklyn College, City College, and Baruch College all at the same time. Different days and nights to take all 24 credits in one semester. So, you know, with God, all things are possible, right?
Absolutely.
And so he said, I've got a mighty work that I need you to do.
All right.
And we got to get ready to do it pretty quickly. So we've got to fast forward this process. So we're going to get ready to knock out all of these credits in one semester so you can be in a school by the beginning of the school year. And that was my journey.
And you did it.
Sure did.
And you did it. And you became the principal. And you started eventually you started law, government, and justice.
Right,
And you were doing great things there. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how the Lord actually led you into the work that you're doing now with the Eagle Academy Foundation. I hope that you are listening and paying attention because it sounds exciting, but think about it. A young man who became a father a little bit unexpectedly. And here he is, he has the vision and the dream of what he wants to do, but what that meant was going to 3 different colleges simultaneously while working, while raising a family. That's a challenge, but he pursued. And because of that, let's take a look at what his life looks like right now.
Good evening. My name is David Banks. I'm the president and CEO of the Eagle Academy in New York. In 2004, the high school graduation rate was only around 30%. And 75% of New York State's entire prison population came from just 7 neighborhoods in New York City. If you were one of the young men growing up in these areas, the odds were stacked against you. So together with the organization 100 Black Men, we answered the call to do something about this crisis. Since 2004, the Eagle Academies have educated nearly 4,000 young men. 98% of our graduates are accepted to college. We're making a big difference now, but we could not have done it alone. You see, there was one leader who was with us from the very beginning, and she was our earliest champion. One leader who understood that addressing the crisis facing young men of color in our country required innovative measures. One leader who pushed to open the first Eagle Academy in the Bronx. And she made a promise to return 4 years later to offer the keynote address to our first graduating class. And that's a promise that she kept. You see, I'm with Hillary Clinton because she has been with us. Today, we have young men who are confident, future leaders who are resilient. Just look at them, America. They are brilliant and full of promise. And we start every day with the poem Invictus. It's the same poem that strengthened the resolve of the imprisoned Nelson Mandela when he recited it each day. So young men of the Eagle Academy, Invictus straight.
Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I think whatever gods may be, for my unconquerable soul. And the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not wished nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears, looms with the heart of shade. And yet the menace of the years, find shall find me unafraid. And that's not how straight the gate, how charge of punishment to scroll. I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So that was a wonderful moment in time for David C. Banks and a collaboration of Eagle Scholar boys from all over the New York City area in New York to be a part of that. In fact, they're not boys, they're young men, they're scholars. And it was a wonderful opportunity for them to stand up and to show the world of the wonderful possibilities that there are. Possibilities made possible because David C. Banks had a vision and a mission and a mandate that he carried out. And you wrote this wonderful book called Soar, David, and I just wanted to read right in the front here. You make it very clear and plain. You said, he was like an eagle hovering over its nest, overshadowing its young, then spreading its wings, lifting them into the air, teaching them to fly. Deuteronomy 32:11. You have said many times that this work you feel is a work that is a direct mission and a mandate from God. And I remember when I was working for the website InsideSchools.org, and I came to visit you. You had just created Law, Government, and Justice, brand new facilities, state-of-the-art building. You had a great big office. When I first met you, you had this tiny little, shared space and a shared building, and it was this moment that any other person could have thought, I have arrived, I have achieved. And you sat in your office and you said to me, but I'm going to be moving on. And I thought, what are you saying to me? Tell me what motivated you to start the all-boy academies specifically for young men of color.
Being an African-American male, having had great opportunities to go on and do some wonderful things in my own life, it pains me deeply, I mean, to my core, when I see so many young men and young people who are not having an opportunity to fulfill their potential. There's absolutely nothing wrong with our young men. They need the right supports around them in order to be all that they can be. And I really felt as though God was saying, I need you to stand in the gap. Yeah. I need you to be somebody who will be out there to help to kind of connect the dots and bring the people from around the community who will work really hard to help these young men to believe in themselves, to ultimately, work their way toward their own success. And so I've just been faithful, really. I mean, in the work that I do each and every day, I don't have bad days. Every day for me is another wonderful opportunity. It was my father who taught me, Jackie, that he said, when you think about the greatness of this world and the greatness of God, the opportunity for us to make a difference in our short period of time here on earth is truly a blessing. And so every day, this is not a job for me. This is really me living my mission and my purpose. And so that's what I mean when I say every day is a blessing, and just a great opportunity to try and help as many young people as I can.
Well, what's wonderful is that this is not a work that can be done on your own, just as one person. And so, it takes staff, it takes principals. What did the first Eagle look like? I mean, you had been a seasoned, experienced principal for many years already. Sure. What was the difference? And I think this is important for people to understand what it is about boy energy in a school, right?
Yeah.
What was the difference for you dealing with that?
That's really interesting because I had been a principal for several years and a successful principal of a co-ed school. I got to the point I could do it almost with my eyes closed. And then all of a sudden we started the first year of Eagle with 100 boys, 50 of whom were ready to soar right away. The other 50% made me question why I was doing this in the first place. Wow. Because there was a level of academic and social and emotional dysfunction that these young men were bringing to the table. And it was very, very challenging. The most challenging experience that I've ever had really in education, getting these young men to ultimately to believe in themselves. I said, boy, there's a reason nobody else is actually doing this. It was really, really tough stuff. Particularly when you're creating a school, the normal way in which you do a school is that when you're a 9th grader, you at least have 11th and 12th graders around, the older students, to kind of show you the way. Right. But when you're creating a brand new school and there are no older students to model for the younger students, it can be a little dicey. Right. And so those were some of the challenges that we had to overcome, building a culture.
And I know that you definitely strongly recommend mentorship and strong male role models being there for these young men. And I'm a mother of three, my youngest being a boy who, I didn't mention, I am an Eagle mom. All right, my son graduated from Eagle Bronx, and he is now a junior at Brockport, Sydney Brockport. But I realized that there was a system designed to hinder our young men from being all that they can be. So I just want to, first of all, thank you for doing this work and for spreading this work. And I know you have more coming down the pike with the Institute. We can't get into that for time today, but we'll have you back another time, hopefully, to talk about that. But one of the other things you mentioned in the book is, you know, the verse where 2 or 3 are gathered together in his name.
Sure.
God is in the midst. And we usually use that for just kind of church and, you know, religious activities, but you brought it out of that box.
Oh, absolutely.
And you say all hands on deck to make this successful. So as we're getting into our closing moments,
Sure.
talk about why that is an important component.
Yeah, it's about creating a conspiracy of care, right?
I love that.
And the fact that God's word and message to all of us was not meant to simply be housed within the 4 walls of any particular church, right? But the fact of the matter is that the work has to be done out here on the streets and where other people are. And so I really do see this in many ways as a ministry. And you've got to gather the right people who will work with you. I don't do this work alone at all. 100 Black Men were the organization that really launched this, getting men from the community to be mentors for boys, so many of whom do not have fathers. In fact, one of our young men coined the phrase that a young man without a mentor is like an explorer without a map.
Yes.
Right? And so having those men to stand in the gap, having the moms and the teachers who are there to continue to have high expectations, you know, so we want to love our children, we want to give them kind of discipline and security that they need, but we also have to have high expectations. And so this is a work for the village, for the entire community. And I think that's what really makes Eagle so successful, that we don't just do the work within the 4 walls of even of the school, but we bring the community and the village to bear on the work for these young men.
So David, tell the people, you know, where can they get a hold of the book?
Yeah, you know, Soar, you can order it through Amazon or Barnes & Noble. It's a book that people always come to me and ask me to sign it to their son. But the reality is that I wrote this book for the parents, for the adults, the caregivers, the people who are charged with the responsibility of taking care of, raising and nurturing our young men. That's who it's for. So I appreciate when they ask me to sign it to their son, but no mom, no dad, I really wrote it for you.
Yes.
And I want you to read each and every one of those pages, because I think in it there are some valuable lessons around what it takes to raise successful young men, what it takes to raise a real eagle.
Wow.
Now's time for the Don't Give Up and Win takeaway moment.
I just want to continue to remind you and to encourage you to not allow whatever you're feeling inside emotionally, whatever you think you're lacking or missing, to diminish the power of this season, because an attitude of gratitude and an attitude of thanksgiving is really important. Because if you're able to listen to this, that means you can hear. If you're watching me, it means you have the ability of sight. And if you're comprehending what I'm saying, that means you can understand, you can think. And those are all gifts, because there's so many people who don't have that. And I realized one year when I was sitting in a Medicaid office and I saw this woman just acting out, and, you know, I wanted to have this huge judgment about that. And the person who was on the other side of the desk simply said to me, she can't read. She's illiterate. And that's when I realized, my gosh, reading, being able to read and think and comprehend is a gift. And as long as I have the ability to read, to be literate, to have gifts and talents and the power of God on my side, then even though I was in a horrible state of poverty and a horrible state of hopelessness in many areas of my life, I knew for sure that I wasn't going to be staying there. So take the time over the next couple of days, starting today, to just be thankful. Thankful for the little things, you know, that your body works, that, you know, you have access to things that they don't in other parts of the world, but you can change your life. Don't give up. You can make it.
chance. Welcome to the rock show. Center spotlight, and we watch the stage glow. Backstage access, but you're seated at the front row. House lights shut off, and here we go. Get up, like a rolling out, will you? Get up, like a diamond, you're brilliant. Get up, oh don't stop believing. You're a star tonight. Like we got no access pass for the show tonight. Power to show me my suit and tie. Yeah, it's got me feeling like I'm so alive. We're meant to be. 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 We're meant to be.
Silence is uncomfortable.
Hunger is uncomfortable too.
So we don't talk about it.
3 million New Yorkers.
3 million?
3 million New Yorkers are at risk of hunger.
The Food Bank for New York City is breaking the silence.
I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
But you can be part of the solution.
You've heard it here, and I hope you really heard it. The success that you see David Banks having now is not something that just happened. It took him listening to the voice of God for himself, and it took him doing the hard work and moving in faith. And as he did that, God brought the people. God helped him build the team and open the doors so that the school could continue to progress and evolve and become what it is today. If you want to know more about the Eagle Academy schools, I would suggest going to the website insideschools.org, where you can see more information about them. And the Eagle Academy Foundation, also www.eafny.org, has lots more information there about how you can support these public schools that are unscreened. They are not cherry-picking students. They're taking the boys that need the help, the boys that the mothers and the grandmothers are praying for, and hoping that someone would rise up enough to care and speak into their lives. So because he was able to hear from God and to move on that, your prayers can be answered. So until next week, I want you to continue to be your very own best hero, because the greatest hero of all said that you were worth it when he gave his life for you on the cross. Until next time, don't give up and win.